Well, good afternoon. I'm excited about today. When Jenny and I first started talking about planning for this year, this gentleman, George Robertson-Burnett, was at the top of my list. I mean, well, here we are, week 2, and that was a priority for me. I have seen him speak a few times, and it's been great. I'm disappointed we could not enjoy this in person, but I am confident, nonetheless, he'll entertain and, most important, he'll motivate. So before I take any of Jenny's thunder, she will introduce him in a few moments. I wanted to give a quick little history lesson today, something I feel is applicable based on last week's presentation. So most of us are very familiar with the Rotary motto, service above self. This motto was approved as the primary motto in 1989. It was first inspired during the second ever Rotary Convention in 1911 and approved as one of 2 official mottos during the 1950 convention. So what was the second that we do not hear as much? I know many of you have heard of it, but we do not see it as often. But at the very first Rotary International Convention in 1910, Rotarian author Frederick Sheldon delivered a speech. In this speech, he declared, "Only the science of right conduct toward others pays. Business is a science of human services. He profits most who serves his fellows best," end quote. So today, this secondary motto has transformed from this speech, and it states, quote, "One profits most who serves best." Again, one profits most who serves best. And so while it may be secondary in the official Rotary world, it is a very great saying. And so please remember this week, as you still have the opportunity to register for the service project this Saturday. And if you make it easy, if you prefer to email me versus DACDB, please do so. But you still will need to do the volunteer form. But again, one profits most who serves best. And so with that, in my best Southern accent, I call upon Miss Jenny Van Hart, the Kiwi extraordinaire, to introduce our Scottish gentleman for today.
Today you are in for a treat. If you have experienced George before, he needs no introduction. If not, buckle your seatbelts, grab a beverage, it can be adult or child-friendly, and enjoy. George hails from Aberdeen, Scotland, but now lives happily in retirement in the States with his wife and daughter. He is Rotary personified. If you think my accent is tough, wait till you hear George. Please welcome George Robertson-Burnett to our virtual stage as today's speaker. Over to you, George.
Are you getting me now?
We have it now. If you could go to full screen.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. You know, see, Joe's teaching was very good, but my listening is less efficient. Thank you so much for the invite. So those that don't know me, this is me, Past District Governor in District 6890 and Rotary Coordinator for Zone 34, but we'll come to that later. As most of you know, this is not how I see myself, because that's a really boring old guy that's looking at you on the screen there. Now, this is how I see myself. Obviously, coming from Scotland, I'm much more into Braveheart than probably most. And if you think that looks a little bit too much like Mel Gibson, how's about that? That's how I see myself, as the Scottish marauder, and so delighted to be with you today. So I wanted to introduce you to my homeland. There it is. Now, most people in America call that England, but as you can see from the graphic, it's more than England. It's England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the independent part is Ireland itself. Now, I wanted to show you this and give you a quick history lesson, because it's quite important to me to let you know why there is a border between Scotland and England. And the history lesson starts with 50 BC, when we were actually invaded by the Romans, who worked their way up through England, defeating the English. No big deal there. The Scots have done that as well. But anyway, they actually came to this new country north of England, and they kind of got stopped by these blue-faced people, and they decided better judgment not to actually invade further into Scotland. These people were far too fierce. But unfortunately, they kept raiding over that border and stealing our sheep and taking our women back to England. This is not good. The Scots did not like this, particularly the biggest clan, Donald of the MacDonald clan said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to build a wall and we're going to get the Romans to pay for it. And that's how we got Hadrian's Wall, which you now see as the separation between England and Scotland. All these years later, it's still there. I make no further comment with regard to history, but I can assure you Hadrian's Wall is well worth the visit. So I came to the United States in 2004, and for those who remember 2004, that was called the hurricane year. I think we had 4 hurricanes went through. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, I come from Scotland. We don't have good weather, but we've got absolutely nothing that will kill you. I mean, here you have these hurricanes, and it came as quite a big shock to me. So here's the family I brought with me. Yep, on my left is my daughter Pippa, and on my right is my wife Carol. And I know what you're thinking, but I married her for her money. Anyway, that's the family that we came over to the United States with. And within 2 weeks of arrival, I met another lady who changed my life. And this is she. This is a bank manager in Bartow, Florida, called Anita Stasiak. And Anita Stasiak called me and said, would you like to come to lunch? Now, everybody on that call knows that that's just another way of saying, would you like to join Rotary? But I didn't realize that at the time. And anyway, she got me into to come up to the Rotary Club of Bartow within 2 weeks of arrival in 2004. Absolutely fabulous. You know, I knew nobody in the United States. And within 2 weeks, I had 72 friends in the Rotary Club of Bartow, which is absolutely fabulous. Now, she did have to force me kind of to actually come to the Rotary Club because I had a misconception. I come from Scotland, and therefore Rotary meets in the best hotel in town. You walk in, you have adult beverages, you stagger out. So I asked her when the Rotary Club of Bartow met, and she said, we meet in Wednesday lunchtimes. And I went, oh, I don't want to do that, because I didn't want to write off the rest of Wednesday having been to the Rotary Club at lunchtime. Anyway, she persevered. And when I went in there, I thought, this is a strange Rotary Club. There's no bar. And the only liquid I could see was this. And I thought, well, it looks like a Long Island iced tea or something. So I took one taste of it, and it's the last time I have ever tasted iced tea. That is not a thing in the United Kingdom. We do not do iced tea. Our tea needs to be hot and have sugar and milk in it. And it's, I mean, I can understand you probably invented it when you threw the tea into Boston Harbor, but great protest, but it kind of sucks as a drink, I have to say. So, and just for those who are uninitiated about my national drink, which I'm very, very proud of, and I have to have every day medicinally, 2 fingers of Scotch is not what you recognize in the United States. This is 2 fingers of Scotch. Yep, it's the outer fingers. That's what a real 2 finger of Scotch is. So if you ever see me in a bar and you offer me that's 2 fingers of Scotch. So there we have it. So anyway, surprisingly, despite the fact that nobody in my Rotary Club really understood what I was saying, in 2008, they decided to make me the president of the club. And of course, I had to go to Pets. And that was quite an eye-opener. I don't know if you remember, but in the old days, they used to take your picture as you went into Pets and made you a badge. Well, anyway, I'll show you the picture they took of me. Yep, that's me. I was the deer in the headlights that turned up to Rotary, having thought myself, gee, I mean, I know everything about Rotary. The Rotary Club of Bartow is fabulous. And I go into this room with over 600 Rotarians from all over Florida, and it just opened my eyes to what a fabulous organization this is. And fell in love with Rotary. I mean, I went there. I was in Rotary. When I left Pets, I was a Rotarian. I felt so connected to this organization. Never looked back since. And when I went back to my club, I was all fired up about polio and wanted to do something. And I looked at the budget and there was nothing there. So I said, you know what? Let's collect our loose change for 3 months and we'll send it up for polio. So that's what we did. We collected our loose change. You know, you come back from shopping, throw your loose change in a jar, took it into the club. 3 months later, Anita, because she works in the bank, totted it all up. $3,700 went up to polio. Absolutely fabulous. And she made an announcement. She said, our president collected the most coins. Woohoo! That was me. And she said, but he had the least money. Wait a minute. How can you have the most coins and the least money? She said, there was not one quarter in your dish. I mean, look, I know the Scots have got a bit of a reputation for short arms and deep pockets, but I can assure you, I was not filtering out the quarters. So what was happening? Let me reintroduce my daughter, Pippa. Now, this is Pippa now, but at the time, Pippa was 8 years old. And Pippa had been taking the quarters out of the dish as quickly as they'd been going in there and caused me all this great embarrassment. So this was back in 2008, and it only took 2 of those coins to actually save a child from this terrible disease. So when I got home from Rotary, I said, Pippa, you caused me some terrible embarrassment at Rotary today. And she said, why, Dad? And I said, you took the quarters out of the dish. She says, yeah, I've got them in the bedroom. I said, yeah, well, you know, it only takes 2 of those coins to save a child from a terrible, terrible disease. You know what? She apologized and we moved on. At the end of the week, when I gave her $10 pocket money, she gave me it right back and she said, Dad, could you save 20 children with that? And that to me it was such a poignant moment. I've always remembered that she did that. And it reminds me, it's not necessarily how much you give, it's the heart you give it with. And I also applauded her math, by the way, because at 8 years old, that was pretty cool, I thought. So, so that was a great time for me as being president of my club. Loved it. And then, despite the fact that nobody in the district really understood what I was saying either, they decided to make me district governor in 2013-14. I mean, that was quite a thing. That's the year that we had the best motto ever in Rotary, and every district governor tells you that. But of course, I'm telling you the truth, because how could I do anything else? Engage Rotary, change lives, 2013-14. Because as we all know, when you engage Rotary, the first life you change is your own. And absolutely great year I had as a district governor, 6890, which is West Central Florida. Tampa is the main area. And now I'm the Rotary coordinator. Yeah, what the heck's a Rotary coordinator? Yeah, well, I have an area, a membership is my main concern, but also youth programs. Anything other than public image or foundation falls under the Rotary coordinator. So I have nearly 800 Rotary clubs, and here we go: Georgia, Florida, and the Caribbean, plus 3 countries in South America. Yep, sucks to be me, eh? I get to go to all these places. It's absolutely fabulous. And because it's such a responsible job, I get paid 6 times what a district governor gets. 6 times nothing is still nothing. But anyway, I love doing it. It's a fabulous job, and I really, I'm honored to actually be the Rotary coordinator at the present time. So I often ask, people ask you, what is Rotary? And we're not very good at answering that. We should get good at answering this. It's very, very important. So what is Rotary? First of all, it's a membership organization, not a service organization. We're a membership organization that does service, not the other way around. So we're a membership organization of business, professional, and community leaders. Very, very important. That's what makes up Rotary. And we get together for fellowship, networking, and to do good in our communities and beyond. That is Rotary on one slide, right there. Membership organization, business professional, community leaders, fellowship, networking, and doing good in our communities and beyond. And it's got to be looked at in its totality, because guess what? If you take that part out, what do we become? Well, we become Quanis, membership organization. We get together for fellowship network. That's not us. This is us. That is Rotary. That's what's so special about us. We're different. And we're proud to be that way. Got to think of Rotary as being a franchise, because Rotary gives us those foundation roles. As a matter of saying, service above self, one profits most, who serves best. Those are all very, very important. But how we manifest ourselves in our communities is totally up to us as members. We make our Rotary Club what it is. So important. That's why I like to think of it as a franchise. As I go around all of these different Rotary clubs, I think to myself, every one is so different because it's manifested itself in a different community with different people, and that is the strength of our organization. Somebody once said to me, says, what's the most frustrating thing for you about Rotary? And I actually look at all these great projects that we do, all the fabulous socials we have, the great emphasis we have on our communities and doing good in the world. And yet when you ask most clubs, what's your membership policy on bringing people in? And they'll say, well, we sort of wait for Rotarians to bring other Rotarians in. That's a very passive way of looking at it. I love an active way of actually increasing our membership, because guess what? We've all joined because we wanted fellowship, we wanted networking, or we wanted to do good. We can do all of those three things a lot more if we've got more people. And therefore, it's so important. That's why I love doing the job that I do, because it gives me the opportunity. There's got to be value in being a Rotarian. You know, we give of our time, we give of our treasure, but most of all, we give of our talent. That's why Rotary is so successful. We give of our talent. And the value proposition for us is in the success of the things we do. There's nothing better to me than actually finding a project that's worked so well and help people. That's the value prop. Oh, if you're wondering about the coconut in the bottom, that's to remind me to ask you, what's the difference between a coconut and a Scotsman? Well, you can get a drink out of a coconut, and good luck with trying to get one out of a Scotsman. So here are our 4 priorities. These are the most important things in Rotary at the moment. Increase our impact, fabulous. Expand our reach. We've got to get into more communities or more even times of the day. We've got to offer more Rotary. Enhance participant engagement, hugely important. Make the best of our time together and making sure that everybody's included and has a great time. And increasing our ability to adapt. I can't actually just mention increasing our ability to adapt without mentioning how fabulous we have been over these past few months. I mean, isn't it incredible? First of all, we got to stay at home. I mean, that was it. And then we've got to work from home. And we have adapted fabulously. I did a survey of the district governors. Over 98% of Rotary clubs have stayed engaged. Some took a little bit of time just to get that started going. But, you know, that is amazing to me. That's fabulous, the way that we've adapted. And it just shows that we have that capability. Hey, we are people of action. We actually have come through this, in my opinion, absolutely fabulously. And I suppose you could say now, Rotary more now than ever. You know, we've got to stay strong. We've got to be vibrant. We've got to attract, and we've got to be relevant. You know, there's a lot of people sitting at home wondering what to do next. You know, inviting them to our meetings is absolutely a way of actually going forward on that. So I wanted to give you a fellow countryman of mine, his guide to good Rotary clubs. Sir Winston Churchill was in fact a Rotarian. He was in the Rotary Club of London, a very, very proud Rotarian. But he's also well known for his comments and his wit. So let's just go through what his guide for Rotary clubs was. Tact is a way of telling someone to go to hell in such a way as they're looking forward to the journey, which is absolutely telling us to be diplomatic in Rotary. Of course we're diplomatic. We're very, very careful as far as that's concerned. So how about success consists of going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. That was his way of telling us to set goals, but remember that we can actually change them. They're not set in stone. We can change. Before I actually reveal this, let me just point out, Winston Churchill, no surprise to some of you, but maybe a surprise to others, was half American. His mother was American and his father was English. So Americans will always do the right thing, he said, but only after having tried all the alternatives, which is don't be afraid to try new things. So how's about, this was an unpopular colleague that nobody seemed to like. Anyway, he said, Winston, I borrow tuppence to phone a friend? And Winston's immediate response was, here's fourpence, why don't you phone both of them? Which reminds us to be realistic. Now, my absolute favorite from Winston is Nancy Astor said, Winston, if you were my husband, I'd poison your tea. Immediate response from him, Nancy, if you were my wife, I'd drink it. Which always reminds us never to lose our sense of humor in Rotary. We should enjoy doing what we're doing. It's very, very important that we enjoy doing all this great work in the world, and I'm sure that you up in Gainesville do that. I suppose his most famous comment that actually is relevant to Rotary is, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And I find that a great Rotary comment, and obviously shows that he was a very, very proud Rotarian. And the Rotary Club of London are very proud to have had him as a member. So obviously, as I go around this wonderful zone, visiting all these different Rotary clubs, without doubt, incidents happen, things happen. I was out in the British Virgin Islands, and on my way home, in fact, had to go through Puerto Rico. And when I got to the airport at Puerto Rico, went up to the desk to recheck in for my flight. And the lady noticed that I was wearing my Rotary badge. And she said, "Oh, you're a Rotarian." I said, "Yeah, I am." She said, "Well, I'm going to upgrade you on this flight." Ah, who's going to be wearing their pin the next time they go to the airport? I always wear mine to the airport. But isn't that fantastic? I get on the flight and I get the big seat and the free drinks. You remember the 2 fingers? Anyway, that's not why I'm telling you the story. The reason I'm telling you the story is she did upgrade me. And as I was walking away from the desk, she said 4 words, which have rung in my ears and I hope will ring in yours. She said, "You Rotarians are awesome." Isn't that fabulous? You Rotarians are awesome. And you know what? We are, you are. Thank you for your invite, and you're awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, George. If anyone has any questions for George, type them in the chat room, or the group chat, I should say. Go ahead, Matthew. Sorry about that.
No, why don't we wait to see if there are any questions? George, you brought to us everything I'd hoped for. You and yourself are an inspiration and much appreciated. I'll owe you 2 fingers of scotch at the next Rotary gathering.
I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it already.
Well, so until then, okay, I'm going to send you a couple coins. You may already have, but in case not, there is the 2021 theme coin, right? And then the classic service above self coin. Here they are. Sorry, got to raise them up. But what I realized when I had these out is even if you have 2, you can keep 2 for 2 fingers of scotch. A nice little measuring device, okay? So they can be multi-purpose coins, all right?
Love it.
Just for you. And so let's see, do we have any questions? There's maybe some in the chat. I'll hand over to Tom. Do we see any?
I don't see any yet, but I'll lead off with one for George. Being a true Scot, what's your favorite scotch?
Well, you know, in a previous life, it seems, I worked for Her Majesty's government in the Customs and Excise Department, which meant that I worked in distilleries. And I was working in Elgin, and I went into the pub there, and I saw all these people from different distilleries standing at the bar, but they were all drinking out of one bottle. And I thought, well, that's strange. So I asked them, and they said, well, when the best is available, that's what we drink. And so I asked them what it was, and they said that they would only tell me if I promised never to tell a living soul for the rest of my life. And so it was Macallan. Oh, sorry, I just broken that promise. Never mind. Macallan is my absolute favorite, and I always keep it to hand. It's right here. In fact, I've always got my bottle of Macallan, just and it is fabulous. You know, for those that like, you know, stronger sort of throat-grabbing whiskies, it's not one of those. It goes down into that tummy and it just warms the cockles of your heart. Which is probably a terrible Scottish saying. I have no idea if you would understand that. But
George, I will ask this as zone coordinator, focus on membership. You know, as we look at these times and, you know, we're still 100% online. We're looking to soon be able to offer dual in-person and streaming. We have equipment ordered and such. Have you seen some new creative ideas as far as membership through this pandemic and through the technology and anything that you could share on the forefront of membership growth and membership retention during this time?
You know, I mean, we have been so adaptable, Matt. It's been absolutely great to see the response to this. The hybrid clubs, which have started now, we have several clubs who are meeting. They're using social distancing, they're wearing masks, and people can come in, obviously, over Zoom, but it's a two-way traffic. They're actually being able to participate in the meeting, they're just not viewing the meeting. And there's some great guidance on that on Rotary Zones 3334 website, and if you just put in the search box hybrid, there's some great stuff. But you're well ahead of the game, and you're probably aware that you've got somebody in your district who's fabulous at this stuff. Marshall Butler he's written some of this stuff about how to do that. With regard to some of the things that we've seen, it's been amazing. There's a new website going to be started fairly soon, which is almost like eBay, but it's going to be for clubs to actually auction items off as instead of doing a project, you'll be able to raise funds for doing your great works in the community by actually putting donated items or things that you can think of, or be creative about it. You can put them onto this website. Now, it's not there yet, but it's coming soon. And it will be particular to our zone. It's starting in District 6960 down in Naples. They're going to put it together, but it's going to be for everybody. So creative, because raising money for doing good in the community has become a challenge, of course, if we can't get together so well. And this will be a way of actually raising the funds. I think that the cost for the thing will be 5%, and that doesn't go to District 6960. That's for the platform. Everything that's actually raised, and I'm sure you can think, I mean, how's about, auctioning off dinner with Matthew for the evening, and people will, I'm sure you'll get a huge influx of fabulous money, and that can all go to projects in your community. So, and also if you get a donation of, maybe a week in a holiday home in Naples or something like that, I'm sure they'll raise some great money. So there's been an awful lot of great ingenuity. I've seen cooking demonstrations done online because we're meeting from our home, and therefore it gives us those additional opportunities. I've seen home tours. I've seen virtual treasure hunts. So it's been very, very creative. But as we get into the hybrid element, I think that we need to grasp that, because that may become a model for the future, which may outlast COVID itself. Because what we found is that some people like this medium, might like this way of going to Rotary, and therefore we need to accommodate. But it has been fabulous the way that we are very, very, we've adapted very well, in my opinion. I mean, who would have thought 3 months ago that going to Rotary would be like a cross between Hollywood Squares and Honey, I Shrunk the Rotarians? We would have never thought that, but here we are. That's what we see every day, which is great. I hope that's answered them.
Well, very much. And it's reassuring, as we believe the technology we're bringing to be interactive and allow that option when we come back. I believe that we may see for a sustained period of time less in-person, but if you take the online and in-person, the sum of two will be greater than the one, and overall engagement will be better. Tom, any other questions?
I have no other questions in group chat, so last chance, Rotarians, to get a question for George. Maybe pull some more humor out of him.
George, I'll tell you, there's a long list of accolades as far as a great presentation and thank yous for what great presentation, uplifting, positive, humor, you name it. And as I said, you brought everything I had hoped to hear. And while I was serious about the 2-finger coins, we also will make a donation for 100 vaccinations for polio in your name for your time and presentation today.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much. And let's keep the humor in Rotary. It's good to have fun while we do good.
Very good. I do appreciate it again. And before we close with the ringing of the bell, a quote for today. To echo exactly what George just said, most people are as happy as they make up their minds to be. Abraham Lincoln. Rotarians, you are awesome. Have a great week, and thank you, George.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Rotarians.